Alright, just going to make a quick build guide here for all the bow enjoyers. I'll break it down into 3 sections. We'll do stats, then we'll do runes, and then we'll do gear. So let's start with stats. Alright, so for stats, from my testing, I think stamina is actually useless because you can get flat stamina on your gear, and you have to pump way too much stamina to get an actual amount of it from stat points. So if I could take these 6 points out, I would. The 3 most important points to put stuff into for this build are health, dexterity, and equip load. If I could get these 6 points out of here, I would probably just pump dexterity until my bow's damage stops going up, and then put the rest into health. And I think I can lose 1 equip load and stay normal, so I would do that too, and put that point somewhere as well. That's another reason why I think that they should have respecs in this game, because you're going to get items with different amounts of equip load on them, and you're going to constantly need to switch how much equip load you have to balance it out properly. Alright, that's about it for stats. Alright, so for runes, I tested a lot of runes, and from all of the testing that I did, the runes that I think are the best for your melee weapon, if you're going to use one, is Frost Dash. It just does a lot of damage and freezes as enemies. It's really good for taking out the knights in the Crucible. It's really just good for taking out any little single target enemies. It basically one-shots them. Just a really all-around strong ability, super fast, not a lot of lag time before the ability goes off, so you know there's not as much of a chance of you getting interrupted. It's just really nice. I like it for you know, clearing. You can also use Fire Dash. Fire Dash has a longer wind-up time, but it travels pretty far. One-shots pretty much everything. Pretty strong. Fire Flurry is another good ability. It hits like 7 times. You know, so if you have a lot of focus, you'll be able to sustain it infinitely. You can just spam it on mobs. You can do the same thing with any of the flurry skills. Really will infinitely sustain once you get enough focus on damage dealt. For bow runes, you definitely want to go with the Yun longbow. It's the tier 2 bow from the vendor. This bow comes with cone shot. Cone shot is by far the best bow rune in the game, no question. It is absolutely the best bow rune. I think fire arrow is the best single target bow rune in the game. Personally, I've done as much testing as possible. I just don't see anything being better than fire arrow. It just seems to do the most damage to me. And then the last rune you want in your bow, for sure, in my opinion, is blink. And you want to put it on the A button because it's the same button you press to dodge. So, yeah, I would definitely throw it on the A button. And yeah, that's the runes. All right, so moving on to the gear. When you first start playing this build, if you want to go only bow, just like my boy Arrow over here, this is a good option for you. You can buy this blood rusted sword from the vendor right here. It's like 2 silver or something.
Good day.
So what you do is you just come over to this guy, you spam buy like 20 of these. You go to the enchantress, you enchant it, and the stats you're looking for are focus on damage dealt, health on damage dealt, and stamina refill chance on damage dealt. Focus on damage dealt is the most important one, and then after that, just trying to get a second one is really good. I personally think stamina refill on damage dealt is probably the best, and then you can just run this ring and you have everything. And also if you don't get stamina refill on damage dealt, it's just not as consistent because you can also roll it on your gloves.
Warriors only
So
as good
I would
as his
say
weapon.
focus on damage dealt, stamina on damage dealt, and then any other good stats you can get are great. You definitely want to socket a topaz
Nothing
into your
seems like
main hand
steel.
weapon because it gives you focus on damage dealt. For the bow, again, you want to use a Yun longbow. You want to buy them until you get one that has 12 damage. 12 damage is the top damage.
May your will be half
Just
as
buy a
strong
bunch,
as my work.
get 12, socket the topazes in them until you get 3%, then socket the chipped in until you get a high chipped roll, and then you can throw in the life on kill and the stamina because those rolls aren't super important to be high.
Nothing sings
And
like
that is
steel.
honestly the best bow that you can make in the game right now. As far as gear goes, I would say the best stat you can get on gear is healing effect and stamina, flat stamina.
Warriors
Focus
only as good as his
increase is definitely a nice stat as well. And equip load. Equip load is very, very, very strong. As you can see here in these pieces, I've just tried to get as much of those stats as possible. Poise defense is alright. Overall speed does not work right now. And you definitely want to get stamina refill
Warriors only as good
chance
as his
on your
weapon.
gloves. As far as chest goes, I think the best play is to just use a white chest and do the 4 gem strategy again.
Nothing
You can get
sings
health
like
here, you can get
steel.
focus here, you can get armor here, and you can get flat stamina here. All of these are things that we want. It's very, very strong. And then for rings, none of the rings that give you damage or speed right now work, so none of those are viable. And so the best option for us is to just use focus rings because we don't have to put any points into focus. We can save all of our points for damage, and these are just very, very, very efficient as far as like stat value goes.
May
And
your
then
will be
the
half
last
as
ring
strong
is
as
going to
my
be the
work.
lifesteal ring, just so we can sustain, you know, on bosses and all that stuff. Every time we hit something with cone shots, basically going to full heal us because of all the healing effect on our gear, you know, all the healing effect on our helmet and everywhere. And the more healing effect you can get, the more it's going to boost this life leech, which is going to sustain you during boss fights.
May your will be
And
half
that's about
as
it for
strong
gear.
as